Hey everyone, welcome to part two of the She's Back training series. I'm Sherry Pokipala. If you caught part one, you already know what we are building and why this training matters because today we get to talk about the product. And I want to be clear about what that means because I am not an expert, but I'm going to share with you some things about this product, not so that you can memorize the ingredients or read the label on the product out loud in a video. Those things are important though, okay? Don't get me wrong, but that's not what this training's about. I'm not trying to have you become a walking brochure or you think you need to know all the things before you can actually build your business. What I am going to help you understand in this training is that balance for her, I want you to understand balance for her well enough that when a woman in your life says, "Man, I'm so exhausted lately and I have no idea what's wrong with me," you're not going to have to think about what to say. You're just going to know how to start a conversation. So that's what we are building today in this training, not product knowledge for its own sake, but product knowledge in service of her. So let's get into it. You're going to need a notebook and pen. Trust me, lots of information is going to be shared in this training. Feel free to pause me and rewatch and do what you need to do so that you can get this information. I hope this is going to be helpful for you. But before I can talk about a single ingredient, I need you to meet the woman that we're going to be talking about. Because here's what I know after 23 years in this industry, one of the biggest mistakes brand partners, distributors, consultants can make is lead with the product before they've ever really seen the person. And you can't see her if you don't know what she's experiencing, right? So let me paint you a picture. She may sound familiar. She is somewhere between the ages of 35 and 55. She's not falling apart. And I want you to be clear about that because she may be feeling like she's falling apart, but she is functioning. She is showing up and she is doing the things, but it's costing her. She's waking up tired, even after a full night's sleep. Her mood shifts are shifting without warning, not because she's an emotional wreck, but because her hormones are running the show and she may not even know it yet. She feels bloated for no clear reason at all different times of the day. She's irritable in a way that is actually foreign to her, like her husband's breathing. Yeah. And there's this anxiety where she's anxious in a way that didn't used to be a part of her personality. She's like, "Who am I?" And then she's been told it's stress. It's your age. And then the one that really breaks my heart was hearing that this is just what being a woman is like. No. She's Googled, she's talked to chat, she's talked to Claude, she's tried the things, but she may she may even have gone to her doctor and she's been told that those labs were normal. And now she's in this space with no answers and she's quietly growing this belief that is a lie that this is just what her life is like now. And she has to deal with it. She's 35 to 55. She is in every transition of hormonal stages, whether that's, the monthly fluctuations of menstrual cycle, the unpredictability of perimenopause, or maybe full on terrain shift of menopause. And now she is in your network right now. And I need you to hold that in your mind for the rest of this training because everything that we talk about, whether it's an ingredient, whether it's a pathway, whether it's conversation frameworks on the product, all of it is in service of her. So now that you know who she is, let's talk about why this incredible product exists. And we're going to start off with some honest truth that when we look at women's wellness supplements in this market space, it is actually enormous, hundreds upon hundreds of products. Most of them address one thing, or if they address more than one thing, maybe the sourcing of their ingredients are not efficacious. And you may have seen these supplements. They support one phase of life, one hormone, one symptom. The perimenopause supplement, the PMS supplement, the magnesium supplement, all of them target a part of a much bigger picture. And what science actually tells us is that you're going to want to lean in on this one because this is very foundational. Hormonal imbalance and chronic stress are not two separate problems, they're the same problem. And I'm going to explain why. when your body is under chronic stress. Your adrenal glands, they produce cortisol. That's our stress hormone. And when cortisol stays elevated, meaning when your nervous system is stuck in that stress response, it directly disrupts the production and the balance of estrogen and progesterone. So I want you to say that with me, okay? Just repeat it. Cortisol dysregulation directly disrupts estrogen and progesterone. Now, this is why women who are chronically stressed, they have more severe PMS. And this is why women that are transitioning into perimenopause, it may be harder for them that are when they're under this sustained pressure or under a lot of stress. This is why the nervous system and the hormonal system, it cannot be treated as separate conversations. And balance for her was built on that understanding that it doesn't just address stress or hormones, it does both simultaneously because that is what our bodies actually need. So this is the gap that we are filling. Oops, that we are feeling filling, and this is what makes the product different from a lot of the products on the marketplace, as well as the products that she's probably already tried or is on. Now, I want to talk about something that we overlook as brand partners and we skip right over it. And it's actually one of the most powerful differentiators about this product, and it is its delivery system. Yes, Balance for her is in a gel form and it's easier to take and it tastes great. But I want you to know that this liposomal gel, this is genius when it comes to why this is different because it's not a capsule, it's not a powder, it is not a gummy. And I'm going to break it down in a way, in plain language as possible. So the active ingredients that is in this packet is the magnesium as well as the adaptogens. And we're going to talk more about that in some future slides. But I want you to think of that because it is actually encapsulated inside of a lipid layer. And I want you to think of that lipid layer as a protective shell that's going to carry those ingredients through your digestive system without being broken down before they reach the bloodstream. That result significantly higher absorption that you would get from a traditional supplement form. So this is why it works differently than the magnesium supplement that she may have been taking for the last year that she's not sure if it's doing anything. Because what you take and what your body actually absorbs are two different things. So when she says, I already take magnesium, this is your answer. This is different. This is a liposomal gel, the absorption, so completely different from anything in a capsule or a powder. Your body actually gets what's inside of it. And that's it. Now, you don't need to go deeper. I mean, unless she asks more questions, but start that off simple and confident. So now we're going to move into the actual mechanics of how this amazing product works. And I want you to understand this not so that you know it word for word, but that you can carry it as your framework. So Balance for her works on two interconnected systems at the very same time. So the first system is the stress pathway. This is about cortisol regulation. We just talked about cortisol being chronically elevated, how it disrupts the entire hormonal cascade. Well, the magnesium tri blend in this product targets this pathway. It targets it directly by supporting the nervous system. It helps the body come out of that chronic stress response because it creates this physiological condition for hormonal balance to be possible. The second pathway is the hormone pathway. This is where the adaptogenic triblend comes in. Those three plant ingredients work specifically on hormonal modulation. This is regulating fluctuations that will ease the symptoms of hot flash, night sweats, mood swings, bloating, which we like to call helps hormonal equilibrium. This piece right here, I want you to hold on to when it comes to the system and the mechanics of this product, because these two systems are not independent. They are in constant conversation with each other. You cannot effectively address hormone imbalance without addressing the stress pathway, which is driving it. And you cannot regulate the stress response without the downstream effect of the hormone production. So, this is why when women that take this product, they start to feel like themselves again, not just less bloating, less hot flashes, but a full body shift because both systems are being supported simultaneously. Again, it's one product, two systems for her. So this is what I want you to take and hold on to, is that they don't work independently, that they are in constant conversation. So now let's break down the ingredients. We'll start off with the magnesiums. There's three magnesiums, and I promise I'm going to try to make this as interesting more than the word magnesium sounds. Most magnesium supplements, they are in one form. Balance for her uses three. And it's important to understand this because if this is going to be your answer every single time someone tells you, I already take magnesium. Let's start with the first one. Magnesium bisglycinate. This is the most bioavailable form of magnesium, meaning that our body absorbs it the most efficiently. It also is the gentlest on digestion, which really matters because we're taking this product with this ingredient daily. Bisglycinate specifically supports the production of serotonin, which is our mood regulating neurotransmitter and directly helps reduce cortisol. So, this is working on your emotional stability as well as your stress response simultaneously. The second is the magnesium taurate. Magnesium taurate, it's combined with taurine, and that pairing creates a compounding effect on your nervous system. You see, taurate is particularly effective at calming the nervous system, and it supports cardiovascular health, and it reduces the physical impact that chronic stress has on the body. So for women whose nervous system, and I'm going to be really honest because I'm probably going to speak to every single one of us and every woman that we talk to, is that our nervous system is stuck in overdrive. So this form of magnesium does some significant work with calming and reducing that physical impact on our body. The third is the magnesium citrate. Now, magnesium citrate, this one supports healthy digestion and gut. Now, you may not know how much this matters more than you actually realize for hormonal health. And I'm going to talk about that more when we get into the bundle slide of the Beat the Bloat. So, citrate also provides additional cortisol regulation and it helps maintain that balance of the estrogen and the progesterone. So, these three forms, they have three different entry points into the stress hormone conversation, but none of them are repetitive. None of them are redundant, but they all have a necessary job. So when someone says they're already taking magnesium, well, most chances is that they're probably taking one form, probably citrate or oxide, but they're getting one piece of what they need. And balance for her actually gives her all three. So it's in that liposomal delivery, and that is what makes all the difference. The absorption and the efficacy of these ingredients. And so now you can share this with confidence when you talk about magnesium. We're going to now move on to the other three ingredients, which is the adaptogenic tri blend. This, I love talking about this ingredients in the product because this history of these ingredients is extraordinary. Um, but first, let me break down adaptogen. What is an adaptogen? Well, it's a plant that helps the body adapt to stress and restore equilibrium. It is not a stimulant and it is not a sedative. An adaptogen reads what the body needs and it helps regulate in that direction, which, think about it. That's probably why this product is such an ingredient, is so popular and it's so relevant in hormonal health because the hormonal system, it is fundamentally about trying to balance. So when it's dysregulated, you need something that's going to help find that balance again. And Balance for her uses three organic adaptogens, and each one has been specifically chosen for female health. Starting with the first one, organic shatavari or shatavari. And if you don't know this plant, I want you to know it because it has been used in Ayurvedic medicine for thousands of years, specifically for women's health. And I'm not saying this is a trend ingredient. This has been used for thousands of years. It is an ancient plant with a deep body of use behind of it. You know, shatavari supports the body's natural response by helping to reduce cortisol and promotes hormonal balance across all the phases of a woman's life, from your monthly PMS to perimenopause, as well as menopause transition. So, for women who are skeptical of supplements, and, honestly, many women are, the history of Shatavari is a powerful part of your conversation. This isn't something that was invented in a lab 5 years ago. It has the receipts to back it up, right? The second is the adaptogen maca root. And maca is also very well known in the wellness space right now. And it's for good reason because it supports adrenal function, which is our cortisol command center. So it balances cortisol levels directly by improving energy, your mood, and the body's ability to navigate daily stressors without getting knocked off. So for women that are in perimenopause, for example, especially perimenopause, because maca root has been shown to particularly support hormonal fluctuations. The third is going to be the organic red clover. And this one is very powerful because it's well, let's back up a little. This ingredient is very powerful for women moving through that perimenopause, menopause transition because red clover is very rich in phytoestrogens, which is a plant based compound that mimics the action of estrogen in our bodies. So, as estrogen actually declines naturally when we walk into perimenopause and we're transitioning through menopause. So red clover really helps fill in that gap gently and very naturally. It eases the transition, as well as like reducing the intensity of the symptoms that come with that transition. So I want you to think that it stabilizes estrogen levels without synthetic hormones. That's what organic red clover really, if you think about that, it's stabilizes our estrogen levels without synthetic hormones. I hope you wrote that down. Now we have three plants, each that targeted a specific role, and together they synergistically create a level of hormonal support that not one single adaptogen could deliver on its own. Powerful stuff right here. Three magnesiums and three adaptogens. Now I'm going to shift gears into talking about building our customer relationship because this part, our relationships can either flourish or these relationships can fall apart. Setting expectations is one of the most powerful things that we can do in this business, in this industry. Not because it closes sales, but because it builds the kind of trust that keeps customers for years. So let's talk about what balance for her actually feels like and when do you start feeling it? I don't want to overpromise and definitely do not want to underdeliver. So this is not a product where you just take one and you wake up transformed. I want to be really clear about that. The woman's hormonal system is complex. We are complex beings. And if your hormonal system has been dysregulated, it's probably not just for a day, it's probably been dysregulated for years. So things are not going to recalibrate overnight. And that's not a flaw in this product, that's just biology. So in your first 2 weeks, most women they start noticing some subtle shifts. With the reduced bloating is often one of the most first things that you feel, and that's because the magnesium is working on the digestive and cortisol pathways very quickly. They're going to have this calmer stress response, fewer mood spikes, and better sleep quality. These are the early signals that your body is beginning to respond. Now, between weeks 2 to 4, the deeper shifts begin to start where there's more stable energy, not a spike and crash, but more of a sustained, evened energy throughout the day, reduced PMS symptoms, having more of this emotional steadfastness. And women often describe that this actually is the phase around 2 to 4 weeks that they start feeling like themselves again, not fixed, not perfect, but just present in a way that they haven't been in a while. And then with consistent long term use, this is where the real hormonal work will happen with cortisol regulation that will start to become more stable. When that becomes more stable, your menstrual cycle begins to regulate for women that are still cycling. For perimenopausal and menopausal, your symptoms reduce in its frequency as well as intensity. So our nervous system will stop living in this chronic activated state and start to respond in a much more balanced state. So the women who get the most from this product are the women that stay consistent every day. Not when they remember, but when they stay consistent every day. And here's why I told wanted you to hold on to this as a brand partner is because the woman that quits early almost always quit right before they would have felt the difference in their body responding. So our job in the follow-up is to hold the line on consistency. When her patience is wearing thin, that is where we show up, and that's where we start to build our relationship even deeper with our customers. Let's talk about the product and who does this belong to? Because one of the biggest energy leaks in network marketing is talking to everyone. And when you talk to everyone, you end up actually connecting with no one. So being specific, it earns its respect. So it means you know who you're for and you show up for her with intention. So who is she? She's the woman that's dealing with PMS that disrupts her everyday life through every single month. The bloating that starts the week before her period, the mood swings that she's learned how to schedule her life around, the cramping that sends her to bed with a heating pad, which has all become part of her normal routine. But it may be normalized, but it's not accepted. And when you tell her that there's something that specifically can support hormonal balance throughout the menstrual cycle, she's going to want to lean in. Who is she? Well, she is the woman in perimenopause. And I want to spend a moment here because this demographic is massively underserved and massively frustrated and massively massive. Perimenopause can begin anywhere from your late 30s and extend out through your 40s, where cycles changing, sleep becomes unreliable, her emotions feel unpredictable in a way that sometimes it even scares her. And most of the time, her doctor has told her that she's not quite in menopause just yet, which means she's like in the no man's land with no support, no answers, just with her thoughts and her emotions. So I promise she's going to be ready for this conversation. Who is she? Well, she is the woman that is in menopause, managing the hot flashes, the night sweats, the mood shifts, having vaginal dryness, and just having her body fundamentally feel very different than what she's used to. She wants support that doesn't require a prescription and doesn't come with a list of side effects. So, balance for her directly speaks to her. And who is she? Well, she's chronically stressed. She's a woman that is chronically stressed. This is important because she may not identify as having a hormonal problem. She just knows that she's exhausted and wired at the very same time. She can't slow down, and slowing down doesn't help. What she doesn't know is that cortisol dysregulation is almost certainly driving her experience, and that addressing her stress pathway will begin to shift her hormonal picture as well. The woman, this woman, she's everywhere. She's probably in your circle right now, in your audience, in your DMs. She's in your network and she's been there in your network. She's been waiting for someone who she trusts to bring her something that actually can support her. She is exactly who you think she is. So let's make this practical because of all the science in the world that we share, it doesn't matter if she doesn't actually use it. So balance for her comes in 30 single serving gel liposomal gel packets, one per day, so a 30-day supply. The flavor is vanilla chai, but it has been improved as well as the consistency. And I want to pause on that for a second because flavor and consistency matters more than it might seem, because the product to me, it's genuinely delicious. It's not something that she's going to have to choke down to take. Um, it's something that she can look forward to. And that matters for consistency, something that you need to take every day. She doesn't need to have a new routine. She doesn't need to restructure her morning or add a new complicated protocol. She fits balance for her right into her daily day, where she can drizzle it in the morning on her latte. She can stir it in her oatmeal. She can put it into her protein shake. She can dissolve it in warm water and make tea. She can take it straight out of the packet. She can put it in the freezer. I'm sorry, in the fridge, and then have this nice, refreshing pick me up. One packet, one habit every single day. So now when you introduce this product to your customer, we're going to shift to a little bit of business building. Okay. I want you to always introduce subscribe and save in the same breath, not as an upsell, but as the strategy that makes the product actually work. Right. So subscribe and save. The cost is $80.95 per month. She's going to never run out of it. She's never going to have a lapse or a gap unless it sells out and we have to restock it again. No pun intended. But she's going to be getting the best available price on balance for her. And here's how I think about it: consistency is what gets results, but subscribe and save is what protects the consistency, because when you recommend subscribe and save, you're not trying to lock her into something. They have full range of canceling, changing dates, changing products. Everything is in their hand. But what you're protecting is her investment and her result, because you're getting her the best price, and then you're getting the consistency so that she's not without. Another thing is free shipping is on orders of $100 and above. So balance for her alone doesn't just give you free shipping, but it's a great way to add another product, a toothpaste or a skincare product that can benefit her. And it's kind of basically like you're getting that toothpaste for free. Um, I am going to break this down because, as I talked about just now, like this is not $100 to get the free shipping, but we do have a way that you can share a product bundle and they'll save, subscribe, and save, and it's effective on cost. So $144 on the Beat the Bloat collection. And I'm recommending this collection because of the price point. And what you get here is you're going to get one box of balance for her, and then you're going to get two boxes of the probiotic connection. Each box has 15, so you're going to get 30. Now you're going to have every day one packet of balance for her as well as one packet of probiotic. So why does a probiotic belong in a hormonal wellness product? Earlier I talked about the um, magnesium citrate really helping on the gut, and I'm going to break this down more for you because the science on this really helped me. And I want you to learn this, not just so you can repeat it, but when you understand it, you're going to see the importance, how these two products bundle and how you can sell this to your friends, family, and to your network. So inside of our gut microbiome, there is a specific subset of bacteria that's called estrobolome. I could be saying this wrong, but this bacteria produces enzymes that directly regulate how estrogen is metabolized and then reabsorbed in the body. So when our gut health is compromised, when that microbiome is out of balance and it's disrupted, and when the estrobolome is disrupted, estrogen metabolism is also disrupted. So this shows up as estrogen dominance, irregular cycles, worsening PMS. It also is where you get this weight gain that doesn't make sense, instability with our mood, symptoms that look hormonal because they are hormonal, but the root cause actually lays in the gut. So here's what happens when you pair these two products. Balance for her addresses the hormonal and the stress pathway directly, where the connection supports the gut environment that makes hormonal balance sustainable. One product calms the system, the other creates the conditions that the calm can live and can hold. So both products will run out on the same day, which means when you follow up with your customer at the end of the month, towards that last couple weeks, you can have a renewing conversation about both products. Because if that protocol is working, that is great. Because I look at it not just as a bundle, not just as a deal. It is a bundle and it is a deal, but it is also a great solution. Now, there's other collections that we have with balance for her, but specifically in this training, we're just focusing on the Beat the Bloat. And as we come to the final three slides, this is one of my favorite slides in the entire deck because this is where everything we covered becomes usable as a brand partner. So you can know everything that we just went over, everything that I taught, and you can freeze the moment someone asks you the question. I'm freezing right now because it happens, guys. You may know everything, you can practice, you can study, and then they say, "Tell me more." And then you're stuck because it's not a knowledge problem. I believe it's a language problem. And so I want to help you to fix that. It's kind of like getting our thoughts organized. So we're going to break it down in a organized fashion. The most important thing that I want you to take from this slide is you do not lead with ingredients, but you lead with her. You open with what you know about her experience. You connect the product to that experience. And then only then is if she asks what's in it, then you're going to have the language to answer that. So let me walk through the four scenarios that you're most likely going to encounter. The first is opening the conversation. This is when you reach out, right? Your outreach message, the DM that you send, or your text. Here's how I think about it. You're not introducing a product, you're continuing a conversation that you've already been having with her. So it sounds more like this. I've been thinking about you. I know you mentioned struggling with, and I want you to name the specific thing that she said: exhaustion, bloating, mood swings, hot flashes. Then you continue. I found something that's been making a real difference, and I wanted to share it with you personally. Personal, specific, not a broadcast. Personal message. The second scenario is if she asks, "What's in it?" Here's the answer that I recommend. It's a combination of three forms of magnesium that work differently than a regular supplement. They actually absorb into the bloodstream instead of passing through. Three organic adaptogens that have been used for centuries specifically for female hormonal health. They all work together to help your stress response and your hormones at the same time. You don't have to name every ingredient, but you've given her the framework, right? If she wants to go deeper, she'll ask. The third scenario is when she asks, she already takes magnesium. And your response, this is different. It's a liposomal gel. The way that this is delivered means the absorption is completely different from a capsule or from a powder. But it also uses three specific forms of magnesium that each do something different. What most people are taking is just one form. There is three forms that work together in this product. Confident, no apology, and no over explaining. The fourth scenario, when she asks, how long does it take her? Well, this one's important because your answer here either sets her up for success or sets her up to quit. The great response is most women notice something in the first 1 to 2 weeks, usually less bloating and a much calmer response. The deeper hormonal support, you're going to see the cycle regulation, the mood stability, the relief from perimenopausal symptoms that builds over a month. It doesn't just happen the first 2 days, a month of consistent use. So I want to give you it, allow yourself to give it 30 days before you decide anything. And the women, you know, that the ones that quit early are always the ones that do it right before that their bodies start to respond and they feel the difference. That last sentence does a lot of work. Okay, so use it. I'm going to repeat it. The women who quit early almost always do it right before they would have felt the difference of their body responding. There's some good things here for you guys. I hope you guys took notes. You can screenshot this, and you can always reach out for any clarification. Now, let's do a quick run through some of the questions that come up most often, because being caught off guard by a common question can cost your credibility and can cost her confidence in the product you're sharing with her. So when someone says, "What should I expect when I first start taking this?" A simple response is you tell her the truth. In the first 1 or 2 weeks, her body is recalibrating. She may notice reduced bloating, a calmer stress response. Some women feel things immediately, others take longer. The first 30 days are the foundation. Tell her to stay with it. Okay. Second, what if I don't feel anything right away? Well, this is normal and it doesn't mean that it's not working. The hormonal system is slow to shift. And that actually is a sign of a system that's working properly, that you're going to want to give it 30 days of daily consistency before drawing any conclusions. The women who quit early almost always do it right before the shift. Will it affect my menstrual cycle? Well, it may, in a positive way. Women often report more regular cycles, less severe PMS, reduced cramping and bloating. So the product supports hormonal regulation. It doesn't force anything, and results are going to vary based on where her hormones are when she starts. Is it just for menopause? Absolutely not. This product is relevant for any woman experience hormonal fluctuation, whether that's monthly menstrual cycle or perimenopause or menopause. Even it also supports just those that have chronic stress that's quietly disrupting her hormonal balance, even without her not knowing it. So it's a product for the full spectrum of female hormonal experience. The last question, can I take it with other supplements? Yes. Yes, you can. This is designed to work within a broad wellness routine. If she's managing a specific health condition or taking prescription medications, you're going to want to encourage her to check with her healthcare provider, letting them see what product she's on and the ingredients just to be safe. But for the vast majority of women, this fits clearly and cleanly into whatever she's already doing. All right, we've covered a lot. Let's kind of recap it. You now may have a better understanding why this product exists, the gap it is was built to fill. You understand the two-system approach, with the stress pathway and the hormone pathway working simultaneously. You understand why the liposomal delivery matters. You understand what each ingredient does and why it's in this formulation. You know who she is, how to talk to her, and what to say when she pushes back. This isn't label knowledge like I shared in the beginning. This is understanding. And understanding is what makes you confident, and what makes you someone that she trusts. So here is your action for this week. Phase 2 is open and drop and live. We're going to directly reach out to customers, all customers, even those that were not on balance for her, even those that you have not been in contact with. I want you to identify 3 to 5 women in your network who match the customer profiles that we talked about on slide 9 or 10. Um, you're welcome to do a list of 20, but I'm encouraging you to start off with 3 to 5, because you're going to reach out to these 3 to 5 women personally. Think about a woman that maybe has said something to you recently about bloating or about feeling exhausted, um, about the stress that never seems to give up. She told you something. She may have showed you something, and she is in your network space, whether she's a customer of balance for her or not a customer of balance for her yet. Let's see if there's anything else that I need to go over on here. Um, when you go back to slide 13, let me think. You go back to slide 13. Sorry, I was looking at the deck. You can pick up one of those conversation frameworks and you want to make it yours. And in the boards phase 2 webpage, you're going to see a chat prompt that you can use that's really going to help you still keep your voice, just really help you to organize your thoughts and to make the message clear and direct for your customer. Okay, so I want you to make sure that you reach out to her not as a distributor. Okay, I want you to reach out to her as a woman who found something that matters, and you want to make sure that she knows about it. Your goal is not to sell, your goal is to open a conversation in phase 2 that's going to serve her. because coming up in the next brand partner trainings in part 3, we are going to train you up on a strategy on the VIP pre-order promotion. This is where you're going to learn how to use USANA's subscribe and save infrastructure to create a white glove VIP pre-order system for your customers and your business. This training is going to change how you think about the pre-launch window entirely. Balance for her is set to restock, I believe, anywhere from July 3rd through the 6th. But we're going to have our audience warmed up. We're going to be educated. We're going to feel confident and excited on what we have to share when that drop of reordering opens, because we're going to help people plug in their order and lock that in before the actual open to the public. So, start getting those conversations going, have real conversations. You are more than enough to do this. Be that brand partner. And I will see you in part 3 training. I believe that's on June 22nd. Take care. God bless.